bumped up. So one EMP will pretty much take all the shields down, and that could be just death for them in seconds.
I actually had a chance to trap those carriers there at the bottom left. If he had moved those Goliaths up towards that 9 o'clock position, he could have maybe trapped those carriers, maybe picked off another one or two. That was actually very, very close. Free was a little bit lucky that they didn't get kind of closed in there, but he does get away, and that was kind of a big moment there. Free, that HiyA could have really done some damage. And now we're seeing carriers being cut out in the open. It looks like one of them is actually at really, really low health, but nope, still not quite able to pick them off. Putting a lot of pressure on these carriers. These carriers really are not able to get the free reign that they need. Really what you want to get with carriers is you want to be able to start picking off some command centers. You want to get some good runs going where you can just sort of sweep across the side of the map, and Free's just not being allowed to do that. Does not have enough. Ooh, nice EMP actually getting most of those carriers. Not able to really get going. But these carrier numbers, as they start getting to that 9, 10 carriers, it just gets to the point where it's just like, this is kind of imbalanced, and how do you deal with that many carriers? Looks like this Arbiter is going to get a big recall coming off now. Will this be enough with these carriers to actually take on these Goliaths? And it's hard to tell. Big forces coming in from the top as well for Free. Nice storms going down by a couple of those High Templars. He needs a couple more storms, though. He needs a couple more. Does he have them in him? There's another one coming down, picking off a couple more tanks. It looks like just not enough. It looks like the last couple battles, it just looks like Free has been just a little bit short. Needs a couple more storms, needs a few more Dragoons, and just doesn't have it. Just coming up a little bit short in each of these last few battles, and the window for Free to stay in this game is starting to close because he just doesn't have the bank at this point, just doesn't have the mining to keep going for too much longer, especially as these 3 dropships are going to the top right and are probably going to be able to completely take this base down with only minimal problems. Holy jeez, so many. What just happened? What?
Oh god, I think every single one of those High Templar had 3 storms in him, so HiyA was like, oh, I'm gonna go and drop this up right hand, no problem. They're like, holy shit. Look at all those storms.
So many storms.
Definitely had 3 on each of those High Templars. That was absolutely insane. Beautiful play just to counter that. You want to take my base? Screw you. Here's some bad weather, buddy. But HiyA's definitely still staying in the game, has a decent Goliath count, but those carriers still might come and come into play and become a big factor. Free also keeping those High Templars close by to make them effective. Doesn't really have that many Arbiters out in the field to help to use those, but really, might get his High Templar picked off. Are going to be some storms coming off on some of those Goliaths, and I don't think he actually might have managed to pick off one High Templar. Not quite sure if he actually managed.
Yeah, he got one.
Yeah, okay, he got one, but still has some Goliaths out there. But with the huge amount of carries right there, I'm not quite sure whether HiyA is going to be able to really engage. Mining wise, he has the lower left. Might be some at the 3, not all good, too sure, but what he has on the ground is mostly what I think he has. And Free still keeping some mining going, still managed to keep his carrier count up. Might manage to catch those tanks in the open. That's pretty much what you want to do. If you manage to catch those tanks in the open, that's going to be it. And this is going to be a dual brawling engagement. There's going to be finally a battle here. Free going to come in here, getting some nice storms off on top of the tanks. Goliath's not quite in position to engage. Another storm going to come off, force those guys. All the tanks going down. A few more tanks waiting at the back. Archons and Dragoons will coming in close now. Zealots from the left side as well. So we saw a science vessel flying around going, oh dear God, my guys are going to die, and not doing anything. But Free taking that large engagement in the middle, and all the tanks went down. HiyA only with a few more tanks, and I just don't think he has enough. These Goliaths are not in position to engage those carriers to pick them off. Some tanks still being put down, but altogether these Zealots are going to be able to come in close, and those carriers are going to be able to abuse those tanks. HiyA going to try to set up another defensive perimeter close to his lower left, and definitely doesn't want to get that taken down. Don't think C's going to actually try to Free, is not actually going to be able to engage at the lower left position. Not quite going to push it yet. But the longer the wait is right now, I feel the better position Free's going to be, and the better he's going to be able to abuse HiyA, catch him off guard, catch him in bad position to do some damage. He's also picking up the natural, the upper right hand. I think some vultures or something at the upper right hand there, waiting to maybe do some damage to it. But still, overall, I feel that HiyA's in a slightly worse position. Still has a lot of Goliaths out there to engage, but just with a much more maneuverable army, Free can pretty much control the engagement as he wants. And if he still manages to get some nice storms off, he might still manage to do it. Zealots coming in close. Goliath's finally acting as a nice blockade for the tanks. Some of the tanks carriers still going to engage. Some carriers are going to go down. Some Goliaths in these positions. But I think the Grand Forces of the Protoss Grand Forces are going to be able to completely clean up that Goliath army. And not many Goliaths at all to engage the carriers. I think a couple of the carriers have gone down. But now the carriers not quite in position to fight back. Do take out a large number of the interceptors. But Dragoon's going to come in close to his Nat Trace. We're going to start picking that off of those carriers. Dragoons should be able to do that. And HiyA, not quite enough forces. Going to move back with some more Goliaths. Try to continue to engage this, but that command center, despite some heavy repairing, might still go down. He's going to go down. Some of the infantry get picked up. The command center does go down, and Free might get himself a little bit back into a corner, getting more carriers picked off. Only one carrier left. Wow, look at this fighting back from HiyA, coming in at a perfect time, picking off all those. Oh man, picking off all those carriers and now doing damage at the upper right. So despite losing this low left hand, HiyA still getting himself into the game. Oh, back and forth. This is the way I like my TVPs.
Wow, this is such an amazing game. Both of these guys are playing so well throughout the entire. Every time it looks like one player has the advantage, the other guy does something great with his carriers or an arbiter recall or with a good getting your tanks up onto the top right, doing something great to get some damage done and even out the game again. This has just been so back and forth. So like as you were sitting there commentating for the last couple minutes, like I had my hands on my head. I was just like staring at my screen in awe. I was like, what is going on? This is so impressive. And the game is still so close. There aren't very many carriers that, oh, these High Templars are going to get picked off. This is actually going to be really huge. Not going to have these storms for the next engagement. You know, wow, that's actually really, really big. You know, HiyA's got an opportunity now. He knows that there aren't a whole lot of High Templars. He could go for a push, and I think that's what he's going to do right now. You can see him pushing across the bottom left. I don't really know what he's going for. I don't think there's anything down there, so I'm not really sure what they're doing down there. But yeah, I mean, he's got an opening right now until the next round of High Templars get some energy that he would have the advantage in any sort of engagement, and it looks like he's just going to play defensively, which is a little bit interesting. I guess he's just like, I've got enough of an advantage. I've won the last 2-3 battles. I'm just going to keep up my vulture harass and keep macroing up because we're on equal number of bases. I mean, the two guys are on equal bases. That's usually an advantage for Terran. And since the carrier counts just isn't what it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago, HiyA has retaken the advantage in this game, and you know, Free's gonna have to think of something to do to get back into it and do some damage back on him. And I want to see what Free does. Free's come up with some great stuff in this game to keep HiyA on his toes, and somehow in the next minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, Free's going to have to engage and do something, and this is going to be really interesting how he decides to do it.
Yeah, just unfortunate for Free, I don't think he has the mineral intake to get back into this, because the upper right hand is almost depleted at this point, and he's got nothing else mining for himself. He got almost no resources. HiyA, at the very least, has picked up the lower left hand again. He's going to be able to continue streaming some army out there. And HiyA has a larger presence on the ground. One storm going to come off there, but HiyA does have a much larger presence on the ground, so he's going to be able to play much better defensively. And the only thing Free has is that one carrier flying around the lower left hand to try to deny HiyA from possibly picking up that base. But HiyA's still going to run around with his vultures, be annoying, try to do some damage. EMP's going to go off. That Archon's going to die of one hit from a vulture at this point. And I think he also hit a High Templar there, actually, so that might be significant as well. Yeah, wow. So that's extremely significant right there as well. Just running around, trying to pick stuff off. Not really much to pick off anymore at any of these locations, but these vultures still going to be annoying and all. So I think just the longer the game goes at this point, definitively this time, HiyA's going to be over, because I just don't think Free can safely pick up a base without HiyA knowing about it, getting in there with those vultures and picking it off. No production coming in from Free. No more carriers going to come in. No way he can afford that. He can maybe produce some Dragoons, some Zealots. Finally going to lose his last carrier here right across his flies across the army. I think this is the last push from him. Zealots leading the charge, most of them dying. Some storms going to come off on top of these Goliaths, not actually hitting the tanks. GG coming in from Free. And definitely the words GG can be uttered with absolute honesty in this one.
That was such a good game. Midas versus J-Dong was amazing. This is probably my second favorite game so far of the MSL. This was pretty damn impressive. So good, such good play by both of these guys. HiyA going for that bottom left when he did, catching those carriers off guard. That was a pretty pimpin' play right there. And Free with some nice defensive recalls. I at both the top right and the bottom left. Those were pretty cool too. Some defensive recalls right into those tank lines while they were pushing. Both of those guys playing very, very well. HiyA just a little bit better. That was very impressive. I'm really excited to see Game 2 and hopefully Free wins, because then we can see a Game 3, because these two should play all the time. That was fantastic.
Yeah, just to let you know, this is not the OSO. This is a best of 5, so we might be seeing a crap ton of games from these guys. MSL has that little advantage that we get a best of 5 from the quarterfinals. But hey, first sets of games done. More going to get continued as soon as I finish my damn finals. But very impressive overall so far. Real looking forward to more, especially from the non-mirrors here. They're looking extremely impressive. So thanks a lot to DejaVu for joining me today. Might join me more if he's willing and if he's available. We'll see what happens. So, of course, GG guys, Ranchin and DejaVu out. See you guys later. Hope you enjoyed.
See you guys. Thanks for having me, Ranchin.